Hey everybody, this is the LEGO NEXO Knights set called Axel's Rolling Arsenal, and it features a big funky tank thing. Now I tend to like tank things, tracked vehicles, whether they are designed for military purposes or just construction or exploration in bad terrain. So that kind of gives this thing a little bit of an advantage with me personally. Right out the gate, it has a very interesting, different design than anything that I'm personally used to seeing, anything I'm really familiar with. But I kind of like it. I like how just tall those treads are set up to be, and they've got some decent action features built into this, the first of which is the ability to extend out these side panels using a gear on either side. So this just goes forward, and looking at that from the front, so you can see how it actually comes out and not just forward. It goes out and forward at the same time. And then they've got a couple of spring-loaded shooters there, no surprise. They have actual triggers. You just push this forward. Let me see if I can aim that kind of towards the camera. You push one of these orange beams forward. Yeah, hit it forward. So that's just a convenient, small, not necessary, but nice little hidden mechanism there. Also has kind of a drawbridge style front port to it, or just a ramp that comes down. And inside of there, it's able to carry a vehicle. Now that is not a manned vehicle. I guess you could call it a drone if you want. It's an unmanned vehicle, remote controlled thing. There's just a little knob on the back that you can push to get this to come out, and it just collects the little tech critters. This is a little bit reminiscent of some of the classic space vehicles, but I think simplified down even more. It's just supposed to go around searching for them and picking them up. Doesn't really have any good collection mechanism here though. The thing that I pushed on the back is just this right here. Just gives whatever is inside a little bit of a push. Taking that out leaves you with actually a lot of space on the inside if you want to replace the vehicle with some figures instead. Use this as an APC. I think that's a good idea. There's also one more vehicle that can be removed from this. Again, no surprise. This top bit is a flyer, and this is specifically for Jestro. It just slides right out, has a nice little section, and that's able to travel around on its own. It has the two big 6-stud shooters, which work for more long-distance shots from the main land vehicle, but they're a lot more useful, I think, when it's separated out like this, because you can actually aim things much more nicely and carefully. Jestro has a little cockpit area there with a couple of control sticks, and just a couple of stickers on here. A handful of stickers used throughout the set. Just in general, they were very conservative with their use of stickers. Most of the decoration that you see throughout this whole thing comes from changes of color and physical texture. With both removable vehicles taken out of the picture, what's left behind looks relatively skeletal. You can see a lot of the technic mechanisms that are fully exposed. It really doesn't look good. This is a very obvious thing here. The cheater tire on the back, that's pretty necessary. I'm glad that they do include things like that. Actually powers the rear lower sprockets that ensure that as long as you're on the ground, not lifting it off to one side, it is going to make all the tracks run, even if you're on a very hard and smooth surface where typically these would just slip. The other possibility for dealing with the slippage problem is to put lots and lots of those little rubber pieces into every other track at least, or every other tread segment, but I think this is a much better, simpler, less annoying to assemble solution, and I think it works fine and really doesn't detract from the whole thing. I mean, it already looks weird, so that doesn't really bother me right there. There's the control section, driver's compartment for Axel. It's a little bit cramped. The windscreen is comically small. Doesn't really cover him that much, but has just a single sticker used there for the control panel, and he doesn't have any physical things to hold on to. Just a couple more subtle stickers off to the side that if you don't like, you can easily leave off, and it really doesn't take anything away. Just one small enemy vehicle is included, a Viro glider that once again looks like one of the alien so-called bad guy units from Mars Mission, just brought down to a smaller size. Really nice shaping here, I think. Nice use of new or fairly new pieces all throughout. And it has 2 shooters that will fire off the little tech critters. I like to leave them on there because they just look really good with their texture. But they include 3 of those in total. They just fire off anything that is stud based will fire out of those. This doesn't stand up on its own very well when there's a figure in there. It just doesn't balance that well. But if you want, you can just flatten out the wings. Kind of give it a little bit of a different look. I don't know, feels a little Kilrathy there to me from Wing Commander. Just a little bit. But yeah, I always like being able to change up the angles of wings. So if I have a preference, or if I even want to look at one of these as being one type of craft that's designed like this, another one has flat wings, another one has them like this. You know, if you build multiple of these, you can alter them so that they end up not looking all the same, even with the same build. Here are Season 5 renditions of Axel and Jestro. Jestro, I believe, does not have weapons in his hands. I believe those are just juggling pins. Could be mistaken on that. We'll see once the episodes actually start coming out. But, I mean, maybe they kind of double duty and actually can be used as weapons as well. That might be a cool little thing to throw in with him. I think the gold goes pretty naturally with Axel, and I'm glad that they dialed back the orangish yellow color on him this time. Kind of brought in the gold instead, rather than, you know, kind of mixing the two together. He still has some on his torso, but it's subtle. His axe is pretty straightforward in how it's built, you know, just pieces that you would expect. And as usual, this version of Axel, like all, is not able to come apart. Its torso pieces are fused together at the factory. The arms are separate pieces though, and the legs are normal. So a better look at what you can see for the faces and a little bit more of the detail of the prints for Jestro, which to me look a little bit simplistic. It's supposed to be his style, but I don't know, there's just something about those shapes. Even though they have some really fine printing in there, it just feels a little bit lacking to me personally, and I can't quite put my finger on it. Each of these still gets alternate faces, but this time Jestro doesn't get a fully evil face. He just gets a face that's a little bit more satisfied with himself and possibly some form of success in battle. There's a better look at that alternate face for Axel though. For the baddies, here we have Mega Biter on the far left, and on the right is Van Biter number 407. So, I mean, that's not a bad number, 407, you know, it's within the first 500 that were produced, so I think he should be proud of his standing. Very nice torso prints. I especially like the one for the Van Biter, and these do use identical heads with 2 faces each. And there's just a little bit more detail to be seen here with everything completely removed. I definitely like the prints for the Van Biter better for the torso there. Just has not only more contrast, but I feel like it has a little bit more depth too. Similar level of detail though. These 2 regular Nexo powers are Drop the Beat on the left and Standing Ovation on the right. The main vehicle also gets the new Murloc power called Axe of Murloc. I really liked the look of this thing when the first pictures of it surfaced, but once I built it, at least the main part of the main build, I suddenly disliked it before adding in the flyer and the little RC inside. Mostly the flyer on the top to me is just really, really important for completing the entire thing. As I showed you, when you have that off, it leaves a lot to be desired just to look at the thing. But there's a lot of play value here, so much play value, and it's sensible play value. It's not stuff that feels too forced. It's not stuff that feels like it wouldn't make sense. You know, the shooters work fine. They have places for your accessories. I forgot to show you that you can attach those 2 accessories for Jestro to his flyer, but you know, that comes off. It shoots just fine if you want to use that feature. It flies nicely. The Viro glider flies nicely. I like the shaping of it. I think everything looks good when it's in kind of display form, but when you want to actually use it, it becomes a good play set, a complete play set with a lot of things to actually do. And it's subtle, but I think the little RC vehicle and its ability to go out and collect things just has a nice non-violent form of play that's just a little bit of a change from the norm that I think just adds another dimension. It's simple, it's easy, and anybody can just imagine that with any kind of vehicle or even just plain minifigures. But I appreciate the inclusion of it and the inclusion of that concept in this whole season, because I think that's just really good food for imaginative play and kind of gets you thinking of what else you could do beyond just shooting bad guys. So not a bad set, not fantastic. I think for the price to part ratio is fine, and I think the amount of play value that you get here makes it a good value. Just the volume of stuff feels maybe a little bit low for its retail price. But that's it for my look at this set. I'm going to move on to the next thing, so I'll be talking to you again soon. Thanks for watching.